Hi and welcome to the Zone.
We're back again.
This is the Fantasy Football Zone, your home
for everything fantasy football.
Hi and welcome to the Zone. This is the Fantasy Football Zone. Of course, your home for everything fantasy football. Ideal guy, how you doing?
Good, man. I'm looking forward to this episode, of course, and glad to be back again.
Wonderful. It's been quite a long break from football, it feels like long. It's been a long break.
Yeah.
The international break came and went, and I think we are glad. Or let's just wait and see how glad we will be that football is back.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be, of course, good because it's been a while since we. And again, last weekend or so, I literally didn't know what to do the whole weekend. So, yeah, looking forward.
Yeah, a weekend without football definitely feels purposeless. It felt purposeless to some extent.
without just being able to be there. Oh, how many points has so and so got? How many points are you at? Like that thrill was just lacking.
It shows you how much we need to just add some more variety in our social life because we are too dependent on football excitement.
That's right.
All right, I trust you guys have been well. Everyone who's joining us for this episode, thank you so much for being part of the Fantasy Football Zone community, and we are so glad to have your support. Big up yourself for always just coming back to be with us in this journey. All right, so with that, having said that, then we are able to just look at what Game Week 8 has to offer. We can just dive right in. We can look at the fixtures of Game Week 8 and what kind of games we are looking at come this game week.
Yep.
So it's an interesting game week. I think majority of the matches are on Saturday, as you can see. Then we just have Sunday 2 games, and then the Monday night kickoff 1 match. So it looks like by the end of Saturday, majority of us will already know where we stand in terms of our fantasy points already. Ideal guy, because I think most of the players are there.
No, that's true. Because but there's some though who I know, some few people who I know are thinking of tripling up in Arsenal. So probably So probably they'll be waiting till Monday to know the verdict. But again, I think it just makes a lot of sense to just have your captain points in, especially by the Saturday. Get done with it. Just know whether it's a failed week or not. Yeah, so that you just move on to the next and start planning for the next thing.
All right. So yeah, we can just dive right into that first fixture, which is the early kickoff. Watford facing off against Liverpool. I mean, this is one where I don't know. I'm not too sure, but I feel like, of course, we are all expecting a Liverpool win, a sure Liverpool win. But if you recall how this game went, the last time they met at the Cup, Watford were able to break Liverpool's unbeaten run convincingly with a 3-0 win, in which Ismail Assar starred in that game, 2 goals and 1 assist. So I don't know if it will be a repeat of the same. Liverpool are still unbeaten so far in the season. I don't know if karma is coming back to, prove that it's there, or maybe Liverpool will break the duck this time. What do you feel, Ideal Guy?
I mean, Liverpool still on so much form. I also do not know about, especially Watford have changed the manager over this last few weeks. So I think, of course, there's a bit of an unknown feeling in this about this Liverpool game. But however, Liverpool is so much on fire. I feel, and they don't have too many injured players. Of course, they have some Brazilian players who are out. Of course, the likes of Alisson, likes of Firmino. But Firmino never went, on international duty. However, they still have a very great squad that can do something on the pitch, yeah.
And of course, Trent Alexander is back, which is bound to be a very big boost for that Liverpool side.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I think we'll talk about the FPL implication of that match a bit later.
Yep.
Then, of course, you can see the 5 o'clock kickoff. We have quite a few of them. That's almost 5 games kicking off. That will be the goal rush right there. And pretty interesting games, actually, when you look at it. In the Premier League at this point in time, we have gotten to a level where there is no boring match per se,
Yeah.
Like every match has some appeal. Every match has some appeal, something you can gain, out of just taking the time to see that game. So as you can see, we have Aston Villa facing off against Wolves. A very interesting game. I think both teams looking to prove themselves in the battle of the top 7 or top 8 kind of thing. The form, of course, is with Wolves. With their new talisman, Hwang, proving to be quite a shrewd signing. But then, of course, Aston Villa also have some quality players that need to step up to the plate. The likes of Emiliano Buendia,
Yeah.
And Danny Ings. Danny Ings has been so quiet.
Yeah.
Just after that interesting start to the season, he all of a sudden went quiet. Ollie Watkins, only 1 goal so far in the season. So it's definitely one game where I feel like a lot of players will be looking to step up and show what they can do. So definitely an interesting game right there.
Of course, one to look at is, of course, Martinez won't be playing. So that's also one really interesting one to look at.
Of course, that favors Hwang and Jimenez more than anyone else.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so there's that game. Let's look at the other one. Leicester City versus Manchester United. This is actually our feature match for game week 8. Both teams, I think, at this point in time, not looking too, too strong. I think both teams we were expecting to be riding high. Of course, Man United have a better ranking so far in the season in the table, but their most recent performances have been anything but convincing. And they definitely need to come out of the international break with a response and maybe start their month on a high. Their talisman, Cristiano Ronaldo, needs to get back to the score sheet. The likes of Bruno Fernandes as well. They need to just get back on form. So it's a big game for Man United for sure. But then also Leicester as well. They need a big performance. They've last month they just threw away maybe 2 leads to draw both games, 2-2. That's against was it Burnley and Crystal Palace. So also for them as well, they need of a strong performance. And it's looking like one of those games where there might be quite a few goals.
Yeah, I actually anticipate a number of goals. I think Leicester have been a bit poor defensively this season as well, and of course having not won. I think they've only won one game so far. However, I mean, on the flip side of it, Jamie Vardy has been on form at the start of the season, so I think that is really looking good for them. However, again, Manchester United are lacking Varane and Maguire for this game, most likely. So that's now a big hole, especially defensively. So I personally think that it's going to be a game of goals. Of course, on both ends, but I think it's going to be a match of who gets more of the goals, and that's the person who's going to take the day.
Yeah, it's but of course the history favors Man United in this fixture. They've managed to get the better of Leicester enough times for them to be favorites for this game. I don't know if Leicester being at home gives them an advantage, a bit of an advantage over Man United. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But it plays into Leicester's hands, the fact that Man United don't have both of their first choice centre backs.
Yeah.
They should be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the other 5 o'clock fixture, we have Manchester City facing off against Burnley.
We all know how this
Manchester
one's going to
City.
end.
This is one of those games that makes us nervous as FPL managers. When you look at your collection of Man City assets and you feel like you wish you had more. You wish you had more of them.
Yeah.
Because this
definitely
just put out
a whole 11.
The writing is on the wall for this one.
Unless like a 5-0.
Unless Burnley pull a serious surprise.
There's nothing like unless in this case. This is a slapping that we expect.
The writing looks to be on the wall. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the other 5 o'clock fixture, Norwich at home against Brighton. Big game for Norwich. Really big game for Norwich. Another chance for them to get their first 3 points on the scoreboard. At home, of course, there isn't a better place for you to do that other than home. But then, of course, unfortunately for them, they are facing a Brighton side that has been on form. They have been on stellar form. I don't know. Graham Potter's tactics seem to be working magic for this side. And if Bissouma is possibly back for this game, possibly, I think this is more bad news for Norwich. So I don't know. I really don't know. What do you think? Do Norwich stand a chance in this game?
No, I mean, I think Brighton are really playing some really good football this season. They're riding high, of course. Perhaps some may say they're riding above their expectations and all. However, it's a team that is well drilled. You can easily see the team that is playing some good free-flowing football. But I think this is the Premier League. This is one of those games that you never know. Norwich can just stand up and grab the 3 points, and it just ends the odd 1-0 or 2-1 or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised. However, if Brighton keep on playing just the way they've been playing, I anticipate that, of course, this would be a good, easy win. And now that Norwich has been the whipping boys for everyone in the Premier League so far, I mean, the ones to jump onto, good defensively as well, Brighton. So, and also good attacking. So I think it's a very interesting game, and looking forward to it. I think this will also be one of the exciting games this weekend.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. Then the other 5 o'clock fixture, the last one will be Southampton facing off against Leeds. Wow, another one of those games that looks like it will be a blockbuster. Of course, on paper it looks like a 2-2, 3-2 kind of game. Southampton, of course, are a good attacking team, a good attacking unit. They've not quite showcased what they're able to do in terms of in front of goal so far in the season. I think testament to the difficulty of fixtures that they've been having, especially just before the international break. The last 2, 3, or 4 fixtures they had, because they came up against Chelsea, they came up against Man City in that period of time. So I don't know. I think this is probably Southampton are looking at this and saying this is where our run should start. And of course, Leeds are not going to take this sitting down. They're also quite an exciting team. So I feel like it will be an interesting match right there.
It is. It is an interesting match. Now, this is the thing. I think, especially with Southampton, of course, have been defensively solid. We could see that, especially holding Man City to a 0-0 draw. They're not doing too bad defensively. I think attacking wise, they're really missing a lot of chances, especially the clear cut chances that Armstrong is missing. If they can work on being clinical, I think they can beat this Leeds side. Who is missing? Rafinha, missing Bamford at this point in time for this game. They're gonna miss most likely Ailing as well. So there's quite a lot, of course, missing that lead side to. I mean, we don't really know if they'll be as fluid at attacking as they always are. So also looking like an interesting match. I think this is the kind of match Southampton can just take 3 points from. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely looks like an opportunity for Southampton. And the late kickoff for Saturday. Right now, every match that you see Brentford in is almost turning to be an exciting match. So we can't wait to see how they handle this Chelsea side. Brentford are at home to Chelsea for the late kickoff on Saturday. And I don't know. For, of course, Chelsea being one of the title favorites, this for them, they're looking at this game and saying we need to come out of there with all the 3 points. But we, at this point in time, we know for sure that Brighton have another thing coming. No, Brentford have another thing coming, or they have another thing planned. I don't know how much damage they'll be able to do to Chelsea's title hopes. But it's definitely looking like one of the most interesting fixtures for game week 8 so far.
Yeah, very, very interesting match. Of course, to look at, I think Brentford haven't had a number of players, of course, stay behind during the international break. So they're looking to have been well rested, well oiled. Chelsea had a number of players out there, and a number of them came back injured. We don't know. Of course, we still see Lukaku's yellow flag, but most likely he could play. Rudiger is, I think now is red flag, definitely not going to play. Of course, not having Thiago Silva there in the squad, in the lineup. But they have a deep squad. I feel they're good enough to still at least beat this Brentford side. But it looks like also one of those matches that you never know. Could just get out a draw. Right, if Brentford play the way they've been playing.
Yeah, Saturday is looking like one of those days where we just enter the base and at 2 p.m. and leave at 9. It's literally, when you look at that fixture lineup, it's looking like one of those days where we need to just cancel everything out of our calendars from the afternoon,
like we always do.
like we definitely do. All right, so Saturday. No, we can go to Sunday. Sunday, two fixtures on Sunday. Two interesting fixtures on Sunday. Everton versus West Ham for the early kickoff. That's definitely a battle for top 6 or top 7 right there. Both teams showing really good form early on in the season. Everton, of course, the new signings are, shining. The likes of Demari Gray and Andros Townsend having the season of their lives. Dokure having the season of his life. And now possibly, they might have some players back from injury, waiting to see just who exactly in terms of either Calvert-Lewin, with an outside chance, of course. But then West Ham still are a force to be reckoned with. And I think they are probably scathed from that Brentford defeat and the manner in which they sustained the defeat. So I'm thinking they might want to also just stamp their authority in this game and show that they actually know pushovers. So I feel like it has every billing to be an entertaining match.
Yeah, looks like a very good game, of course, and it's one of those games that you look forward to in the season, especially because of the style of play that both of these teams are, proposing, and we propose on each other. Rafa versus Moyes. So it's looking like a very interesting game. Hopefully, if Calvert comes back, that's going to give us another headache altogether.
Yeah. Okay, and I guess the last match for Sunday.
Is
This
the
one
new
is
billionaires in the house.
the richest kids in the block. The richest kids in the block, Newcastle. I wonder if they'll come into the pitch with the what are they called? Hoover boards. They just come hoovering into the pitch, and you can imagine Alan Saint Maximin. I mean, it's high time that Newcastle also gets some cash injection. They've always been one of the big teams, but like a sleeping giant,
Yep.
for many years, and hopefully this new takeover will breathe life into this team. They have some really good players. I think everyone has been wondering why Newcastle are not really performing, because when you look at that squad, they have really good players. It's not as if it's a very poor team. When you look at their forward, their midfield, their defense, it's quite decent, enough for them to do something. So let's wait and see how the billions affect the genetic makeup of this team in the months to come. But then, of course, yeah.
Of course, money has come in and all that. But again, I think they just need to sort out a lot of things within the club first, for them to realize everything. I don't think it may show impact immediately. I wish it does, because it probably will put a bit of pressure on some players because of contracts and everything. But now this is the thing. The definitely playing a Spurs side who I could say struggling in a sense, because even that game that they just won recently 2-1 against Villa wasn't really convincing, the manner with which they won. So of course they're going to, and then again, this could be Steve Bruce's last game. There are rumors with which he could that he would have actually left before this game, but this could as well be his last game, which is his 1,000th game in football. So it looks like there's a lot that's talking about Newcastle taking 3 points in this game. A lot.
Yeah, that's looking like a big one for sure. And interestingly, the last two encounters that they had last season at the what's the name of Newcastle Stadium?
St. James. St.
Park. St. James's Park. Yeah, the fixtures they had, actually, Newcastle were able to come off with a draw in both of them, 2-2 and 1-1. So it's not really an easy hunting ground for Tottenham in this scenario.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, and Monday Night Football, the Monday kickoff is Arsenal facing off against Crystal Palace.
Come on.
This is the battle of the Arsenal midfielders, the former Arsenal midfielders.
And captains.
Yeah. Mikel Arteta versus Patrick Vieira. Of course, we're all expecting that Patrick Vieira will get a really good reception from the fans when he walks back into, Emirates Stadium. But yeah, despite how nostalgic we are about him, we are definitely expecting him to be at ease and have his boys at ease, so that we can get the routine 3 points that we're expecting from this game. But it's definitely not going to be an easy one, right?
No, definitely won't be an easy game. It won't be a pushover and a walkover. I think Crystal Palace have been looking good. I think I like the look of Gallagher. He's actually been looking good and still even performing in the under-21s in England. So, of course, and they have a good all-round squad. I think Vieira has done something and given them a bit of grit in the game. They used to be pushovers, Crystal Palace, but now they have a bit of grit, of which I'm not yet certain that Arsenal does have that grit. Of course, we're yet to see how now. Of course, during this 2-week period, we've seen, of course, Arteta get that Manager of the Month award. I don't know if that will influence, of course, maybe a bit more in terms of just continuing that form that has been, of course, unbeaten in the last 4. So yeah, it's really looking like an interesting game. Looks like all players are fit as well at Arsenal, so it's looking like a good game.
Yeah, and interestingly, actually, coming from the international break, I think Arsenal were able to set a new record in terms of having the most players having goals or goal involvements in the international break. If you look at that Arsenal first team roster, every player who went out for international break actually came back with some attacking returns, except only for the goalkeepers, says a lot, definitely says a lot about this team. They seem to be in form. They seem to have some excitement and some energy to do well in the pitch. You said something about grit, and Arsenal having not proven yet to have grit, but I feel like quite the contrary, especially defensively. Attacking wise, of course, the jury is still out on whether we can put up a solid attacking performance. We only saw it once against Tottenham, but every other game since, we've struggled as an attacking unit. But much can be said and written about Arsenal having developed some serious grit as a defensive outfit. When you look at the stats, even the number of XGs that we are allowing opposition teams to have against us, only Man City have better statistics defensive wise than Arsenal. And of course, you understand Man City is because they deny the opponent the ball, but for Arsenal it's actual defending. When you look at the likes of Gabriel and Tomiyasu and Ben White, actually, gelling and being on form. So even if we might struggle to get the goals in certain matches, I think there's a lot more confidence in that Arsenal camp that teams will not have an easy time against us in terms of being able to get cheap goals as they used to, and that can play to our advantage in one way or another. So those are basically the fixtures for game week 8. Definitely looking like an exciting game week ahead of us. We can just transition quickly to look at the FPL potential of all these fixtures and the game week that is ahead. We can start with either my team, or let's start with my team, because I know Ideal Guy is on the Wildcard, so it's definitely a more interesting team. As you can see, my team is pretty much the exact same team that I put out for game week 7. Still thinking about that one transfer or whether I should make it or not. But typically, every player seems to be, to have a decent fixture. I'm only so concerned about Ismail Yassar being, of course, at home to Liverpool. We were just talking about the last time when Liverpool went to Watford, Vicarage Road, and how Ismail Yassar was the star of the show in that game. I don't know what likelihood there is that he's likely to repeat those heroics in this game. So I'm a bit nervous about having him in my team at this point in time. It's looking like a routine 2 points or possibly 1 in case he gets a yellow card. So I'm still thinking of shipping him out of my team to bring in someone with a better potential of bringing in more points. Another point of contention I have with my team is the fact that I have both Ronaldo and Jamie Vardy, and they are coming up against one another in that Leicester versus Man City fixture. It could favor me or it could backfire, because if we both predicted a goal fest in this game, Manchester United having a poor defensive record, on top of which they're missing 2 of their most influential centre backs in the season, but then also Leicester City not necessarily being defensively sound so far in the season. We saw them giving up 2-0 leads consecutively against mid-table teams. So I'm really expecting that none of these teams will be able to keep a clean sheet. And of course, if Man United are scoring, 60% of the chances is that Ronaldo is on the score sheet. And likewise, if Leicester are scoring, maybe 70% chances are Vardy is on the score sheet. So that's the only thing that I'm hoping that will happen in this scenario, so that I don't suffer having these 2 players come up against each other in game week 8. Other than that, I think later on we'll have the captain conversation. But as it stands, that's how my team looks, basically. I don't know if you have a question or comment.
I mean, first of all, I think you mentioned something about, of course, Salah, and before we started the show, and how you were thinking of just actually keeping him for this game week. I actually could think that could be a good idea. especially if you haven't made up your mind yet on who to bring in next, especially for the next few game weeks. And probably to save you, if in case you have one free transfer, to save you a free transfer for next week. And of course, next week is when now a lot of things are going to unfold in terms of players coming back from the players who, especially the South American players who are coming back, and all. So there'll be a bit of a conundrum. And people are trying to jump onto players. Of course, we're now seeing Trent coming back. So many people are going to want to now make 2 transfers to bring in a Trent or something like that. So I think for safety purposes, and again, it's also not a guarantee that maybe whoever you may bring in will actually score in some points. So I'm just thinking, if you're not too sure, just stick with Sa. It could be a good plan. I think you're one of those managers who has decided to stick with Vardy.
No, Vardy has definitely come good for me. You know, I was seeing the transfer stats so far in the game week. The most transferred in player is Huang, but then I think second or third in that list is Jamie Vardy. And guys are finally waking up to Jamie Vardy after I have already benefited, I think, twice from his points. So I know what he's capable of. And you know, Vardy doesn't have to have a very commanding performance to score. You know, he can score out of nowhere.
Just out of nothing, yeah.
Yeah, he'll score out of nowhere, out of nothing. And I think that's the kind of player you want in your FPL. So that's how my team looks. We can transition to your team maybe.
All right.
We see how you've spent your wildcard.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the wildcard active. Of course, from Olympic Lyon FC. And this is the thing. I've thought about this for a while. Most of these players were template players with which I had, of course, just coming into this game week. Now, what changed over the last maybe 24 hours, especially, was the decision to bring in Trent and Rudiger, who I had in my team and is now confirmed most likely not going to play. That was big for me, of course, and the decisions that I had to make, of course, in the defense. I had to bring in Trent one way or another. I had to sell him, of course, at that time. He was dropping in price way fast. But now, of course, now, he's not only just a defender, but of course, he's going to produce a lot of attacking returns. That's most likely expected of him. And so I would really, and again, especially to avoid getting into that place where I have to now look for funds, look for transfers to get him in. I said, why not just get him in at this time, especially because it's a 7.5. And I consider him like a 7.5 midfielder because he's more or less playing that kind of position and role. He's on set pieces and all that. So I think for me, that's a decision for Trent. And now I had to change to a more nailed on, probably for this game week, Chelsea defender in Christensen, because of course we know Alonso is not Alonso. Thiago Silva is not going to be there because of the international kind of thing. Now we also know Rudiger is not going to be there, so definitely, most likely, would see a Christensen there. I would have loved to have an Azpilicueta or an Alonso, because I think Alonso could play then that role that Rudiger was playing. But I think it's really not. I think I think just with the 5.5 million from Christensen, of course, is something I really wanted to go with. The rest of the team was more or less template. For me to some of the thoughts that I had, of course, I had to have in Lukaku in that team, especially because I have a feeling he's going to. This is more or less the time with which he may actually gather the form with the next 3 or so fixtures, having Brentford, having Norwich in there. So I think that's a time for Chelsea to score goals. So I think the team is more or less well balanced. I think this is more or less what I'm really looking forward to, having game week 8 into the future and the near future. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, it's definitely an interesting team. I think you have really doubled down, I think even tripled down on Man City's fixtures. I'm just hoping Pep Roulette does not dish you some serious character development. maybe we can look at that team. Grealish, of course, is due some goals. He's really been underperforming, even underperformed in the international break for England. So I don't know. Maybe at this time he'll be able to get that spark in his game. You have tripled up on that Chelsea versus Brentford game. That is Christensen, Boemo, and Lukaku. Really hoping that does not come back to bite you.
Now, the reason as to why I did so is especially because of Rafinha and not playing in this game week. That's the reason as to why I just had to bring in Boemo, because especially if the way, Ivan Toney, and the way he's been creating a lot from Boemo, I think that has been a good partnership. I think he's just that kind of player who can as well just score that odd point or something like that, get that odd goal or so against Chelsea. So yeah, that's the reason as to why, especially because of Rafinha and because I do not want to sell him. I do not want to leave him out of my squad. So I just said, let me just have Boemo in there.
And the fixtures are definitely smiling at Rafinha. But yeah, pretty decent squad. I think let's wait and see. You know, the beauty of this squad is that it's tailor-made for game week 8, especially. So you must be more excited about what you're expecting to garner.
Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I said excited. I didn't say sure. All right, I think we can transition quickly to now the captain conversation, of course. I think if I've seen correctly, your armband is on Mohamed Salah for game week 8. I'm seeing a lot of FPL jokes on the internet. You know, someone is talking about the captain options for game week 8, and they have A Salah, B Salah, C Salah, and D Salah. You know, it's like at this point in time, maybe every player who's new in fantasy is the one who's most likely not going to captain Salah.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
The rest of us most likely will.
I think it will be a big tragedy if he puts up points on that score sheet and you just see goals flying in, and you have no idea. You don't have him as your captain pick, and your captain blanks. That's the worst thing. You just see red arrows all the way.
But he's really breaking the records for FPL even this season. So far, 7 game weeks in, and he has contributed. Let me just get the figures correctly. How many double holes? He has contributed 4 double holes. 4 double holes, 4 double-digit figures, 17, 10, 12, and 13. And the other time, there was a 7 and an 8. There's only once that he has blanked with 3 points. So you can't argue. You can't argue with those numbers. The guy is on form. Although I think the trend that I have observed is that when a player tends to be the most captained player, the likelihood is that they flop. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it has to do with them being most captained or whatever, but more often than not, the player who is most captained has disappointed in one way or another. Even when you look at the trend so far into the season, I think it was only once or twice. Only when Ronaldo came back into the league, that game against Newcastle, and the first game of the season, you know, when Salah and Bruno were 2 of the most captain players and they both came in with the goods. The other times it's been a hit and miss, you know. I think Ronaldo being the biggest miss in those scenarios where he's been the most captain player, but then he's failed to perform. But yeah, Salah definitely looking like the most obvious captain choice for game week 8. The other thing that makes me nervous about Captain Salah is the fact that his game is the early kickoff. That means if he doesn't perform and someone has Captain Aubameyang for Monday, it will be a long, excruciating wait. Just hoping that this guy gets shot somewhere, you know, in the streets of London, so that he doesn't perform for whichever these FPL managers are. But yeah, I think another superstition I have is like I'm never too comfortable having my captain perform or play in the early kickoff. I really don't like it. But yeah, I
But
don't know
I
if
mean,
I
it is
have.
what it is. It is what
I
it
don't know
is.
if I
If
have
he's
much of a
gonna
choice this
perform,
time.
I mean, of course, you have to look at the fixtures that are there and available. But if you were to ask me if I had a player in the Manchester United Leicester game, that is an attractive game for a captain choice, and of which I see you have two of them.
Uh, it's neither here
I,
nor there because of course in the Salah scenario, the fixture gives us a lot of confidence. Despite Salah being on red hot form, the fixture gives us a lot of confidence in that it's not typically a very difficult game for Liverpool. But then when you look at the Man United Leicester game, it is actually quite a difficult game. It is one of those games where both managers can decide, you know what, a draw is better than a loss, and they just decide to be, cagey in their operations in the match, and it ends in a 1-0 win. Whoever manages to nick the win, and something like that. So I feel like the dynamics in the Man United Leicester game are a bit more complicated than the dynamics in the Liverpool Watford game. That's why Captain Salah is a more comfortable captain choice to go with. And of course, for me, I've been what's the word, burnt and bruised by Captain Ronaldo now 2 game weeks in a row, and he's even lucky to still be in my team at this point in time. I think I'm just waiting to see. Of course, game week 9 I'm jumping ship to Lukaku, but maybe I'm just giving this donkey a moment to throw some dying kicks, right?
I mean, I think this could be the game. Of course, he turns. Of course, the underlying factors as to why he never performed in the previous ones. One of them, of course, very tight game. But another was he was benched, and that's it. So and you could also see the clear cut chances he got. I mean, not clear cut, but he got a lot of big chances as well, just in a few minutes that he played. Imagine how much more, especially in 90 minutes. But I do not know, especially why I see goals, especially, is because that Manchester United defense is now looking like there's a big hole and gap there. So that's why I'm personally seeing a bit of goals there. But I mean, let's see. Of course, in the review show, we'll definitely chat about that and see how that goes.
Okay, I guess we've settled that Captain Salah is the obvious captain pick. Of course, we've looked at the potential of Ronaldo and Vardy as captain options. I think with an outside chance, Captain Aubameyang, I don't know. If he makes it in time.
You've been talking about
Yeah, I actually
the
captained
last
him
few
at
weeks.
one point. At one point in the season, I captained him, and he definitely delivered for me. He could have delivered more, actually. So against Crystal Palace at home, Arsenal seem to be enjoying playing football back in the Emirates again. And, you never know. He could definitely benefit from that kind of atmosphere
About
and,
Lukaku.
and bring in the goods. Of course, Lukaku is another captain shout away to Brentford. At this point in time, of course, I'm sure he's also feeling some pressure in terms of he needs to produce more. He needs to produce the end product a bit more. So yeah, he's definitely one to look at. Those of you who have Lukaku, I think you're likely to benefit in case he decides to turn on the style at this point in time. So those are I think, possible differential outside of the favorite option, who is Salah. I doubt that there are many who will be daring enough to go for anyone outside Salah option. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Deadline at this point in time is just 13 hours away. So let's wait and see what will happen in between those hours. Having said that, I think that brings us to the conclusion of the Game Week 8 preview show. A lot to look forward to. Of course, the coming back of football this weekend after the international break. I can't wait to see Man United lose or draw. I can't wait to see Tottenham lose or draw. I can't wait to see Arsenal win. I'm not saying those are definitely the results that we'll see, but they are the results I would love to see. I don't know about you, Adil guy.
I mean, I'm looking forward to 3 points. I think 3 points will definitely make my week. Yeah, of course, we may do the review show before that game or as that game is going on. But yeah, I think for me that would be a good way to come back from international break. 3 points on the board, and of course, looking up in the table. And yeah, but I'm looking forward to those this Saturday. I mean, tomorrow's games are really good. Tomorrow's games are good. I can't wait to see them.
Yeah, there you go. I think we had one comment. Maybe I can read that as we wind up. Having Trent at the back is a worry this week, though he will give an assist. I just hope he gets a clean sheet because our second choice goalkeeper, I doubt him. Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Trent, of course, Trent is a midfielder. Ideal guy just said it. He's a midfielder who plies his trade from the right back position. And yeah, having him in the team is definitely a big plus for that Liverpool side. I also agree with his comments in terms of the fear that he might not be able to sustain a clean sheet. Of course, we expect Watford to be a threat now with the Dilly-Din, Dilly-Dong at the wheel. Of course, even if they lose, they will want to lose honorably. So, yeah, looking like it will be an interesting game right there.
Yep.
Okay, that's it for the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch basically the preview show. We continue to urge you, we continue to encourage you to engage with us on our comment section, to like, share, subscribe, and all this good stuff. And yeah, we look forward to growing the FPL community here and around the world. Thank you so much for your company. Dinosaurus out.